All right, so we are officially 1 week into the NBA season, so we're going to talk about who's been disappointing so far. Obviously, to disappoint means you have to have some type of expectations, and some of these are going to be my personal expectations, and some of them are going to be the general basketball consensus expectations, right? And I shouldn't have to say this, but I have to say it. We're 1 week into the NBA season. I'm not saying the book is written, not saying any of that, just through 1 week, who has been disappointing. Now, for me, this is a player that I was not high on, but the more I looked at this team, the more I seen the opportunity that was in front of him. And that is Shaedon Sharpe. Now, the Blazers are 2-2. They beat the Warriors on a back-to-back, and then they beat the Lakers. No Luka, no Bron. A win is a win, though. But individually, Shaedon Sharpe is shooting 30% from the field, is shooting 16% from three, and has double the amount of turnovers as assists through 4 games. Now, he hasn't missed a free throw. He's been getting steals. All that's fine, but again, you looked at this Blazers team, and I talked about it so much this offseason that they have everything else covered, and we're seeing that right now. Jrue Holiday's been better than I think anyone would have expected offensively after last year. He's still Jrue Holiday on defense. Toumani Camara, amazing on defense. Denny Avdija is not a fluke. Last year was not a fluke. He's really this good. Donovan Clingan, like, everybody is performing on this team, and they just need Shaedon Sharpe to be that guy as a scorer, and it's looking like he's not fulfilling that role. And it's not really a big problem right now because Jeremy Grant is playing so well and scoring so efficiently that they haven't really felt the absence of that #1 shot creator. But assuming Jeremy Grant levels down a little bit, they're still gonna need, for them to be competitive, they're still gonna need Shaedon Sharpe to be at a level above this. This summer, I compared him to Jalen Green last year, right? Jalen Green wasn't this amazing, efficient player, but Jalen Green was a player that can go get you 40 points. He was a player that the defense had to respect on a nightly basis. And I said, if Shaedon Sharpe could just be last year's Jalen Green on this team, they're gonna be a competitive team. So far, he's not been able to even match up to that level. And no, he's not gonna shoot 16% from three the whole year, but he's a career 32% three-point shooter. He's not a passer. He averages about the same amount of assists to turnovers for his career. 2.1 assists to 1.7 turnovers, not great. His mid-range game is average, not good. He doesn't get to the free throw line a lot. Like, a lot of the things they need him to do to be a really good, efficient scorer, or even just a good volume scorer, he doesn't do those well. And I'm admitting on the front end, I've never been a believer in Shaedon Sharpe. People said the next Zach LaVine. I said maybe J.R. Smith, but he turned out not to even be that good of a shooter. I'm not writing it off. Like, we see more and more these days, a player just all of a sudden figures out how to shoot. You see what Aaron Gordon is doing right now. Like, there's a world where he just becomes a much better shooter, but everything else is kind of you know, and I feel like he would have to become a much better shooter for the rest of his game to really take another leap. I don't like his in-between game. I don't like his decision-making. You know, he just has to build off of that shooting, and if he's not going to be a good shooter, I don't know. They paid him already. He's going to have all the opportunity in the world this year, so we're going to find out, which is why I would have waited to pay him if I was them, but it is what it is. They paid him. Again, just been 4 games, but I think we all can agree Shaedon Sharpe has been disappointing. Another player who has been disappointing to me, and maybe I'm the idiot for even being disappointed, but Brandon Ingram. And I already know what people are going to say. Brandon Ingram is not the problem in Toronto. It's Emmanuel Quickley. Jakob Poeltl hasn't been good, all that, which is fine. I think Emmanuel Quickley has been really bad in terms of decision-making. Yeah, I agree with all that. But at what point are you just not going to be the problem and actually be like the solution? Like, go do something. You can change the outcome of these games. Like the game against the Bucks, where he had 26 points going into the fourth quarter, ends the game with 29 points. Is that on Emmanuel Quickley? Sure. Is that on the coaching staff? Sure. But at the same time, you can go get a bucket. You can go get the ball, get a rebound, get the ball, get a steal, get the ball. If you're watching this and you're a Brandon Ingram fan, how many times have we seen this? How many times have we seen him have 20 points at the half or 25, 26 points through 3 quarters, and he just doesn't finish the game strong? His conditioning doesn't look to be there. The defense is bad right now. He's not, you know, he's just being Brandon Ingram. Like, he's not pushing anything forward. And that was the hope, that he would go to Toronto, they would embrace him, they would give him this role, and he would be the one that outshines and really push this team forward. No, and again, people could blame Emmanuel Quickley, blame RJ Barrett. At least those guys are playing with urgency. RJ Barrett is getting a lot of these points by just hustling. Brandon Ingram's not doing that. So far this season, he's taking less than 4 threes a game and less than 4 free throws a game. That's just the lack of aggression. No matter who else is on the team, he should be able to live at the line. He should be able to get up 3-pointers over anybody guarding him, right? That should be easy for BI. His rebounding has been good, I guess. That's been good, but everything else has been disappointing. And maybe I'm the fool for being disappointed, but 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 20 points per game. I just hoped, in my mind, he was going to go to Toronto, be rejuvenated, be excited by this opportunity, be an all-star in the Eastern Conference. Again, it's early, a lot of it can change, but right now I just see uninspiring basketball from Brandon Ingram, which is something we see far too often. Just keeping it real. Brandon Ingram stands, you see it as well. It's real. And I just hope that would change in this new situation, but it is what it is. Maybe I'm wrong, let me know. Can we see Brandon Ingram get a poster? Like, can you go dunk on somebody? The 6'8" guy, 7'3" wingspan, 40-inch vertical. Can you go dunk on somebody, please? That's all I ask. And what makes the Raptors start even more disappointing is looking at what's going on with Atlanta and Orlando. Now, with Atlanta, it's also annoying because Brandon Ingram could have been in Atlanta. And for everything I'm saying about Brandon Ingram, I do think Toronto is a situation where they need him to be, like, special. They need him to really be one of the best players in the East to make that happen. In Atlanta, he would have just had to be a good scorer next to Trae Young. I think that's all he would have had to be for them to be a pretty good team. But in Atlanta right now, I don't think Trae Young has been great, and I do think it's a little bit alarming that he's a career 35% three-point shooter. You know, we talk about Trae like he's this great shooter. This is his 8th year, and he's only had 3 seasons where he shot above 35% from 3. So I think this is kind of just who he is as a shooter. Maybe we think like with better looks, it will be different, but I think this is just Trae Young. He's not a great shooter. He's just a decent one. And looking at the rest of this team, unless we are projecting a big leap from Shai, it does still seem like Trae Young is going to have an outsized burden on his back to carry this team. And maybe unfairly, everyone picked this team to be a top 5 seed or whatever. So if you had the Hawks being that good, regardless of the surrounding cast, you probably had them that high because you believed in Trae Young being maybe not a true MVP candidate, but someone that was at the table, right? So Trae Young having this MVP type of year has been off to a disappointment so far, but Shai missed a couple games. Porzingis already been out with an illness. That's weird. Dyson Daniels, not really seeing any improvement in his offensive game, and I think the Hawks are still in a very good place as a franchise. But what about Trae Young? Like, I think if this season goes poorly, Trae Young could really be out the door and they could focus on the future. Just is what it is, right? We all knew that was a possibility heading into this year. We just thought the Hawks would be good. Their next game is against the Brooklyn Nets. Hopefully they get on track like the Rockets did. I don't want to harp on this too much. I think Trae Young is still going to have an amazing season, but so far, him being able to carry that team offensively has not been there. And the last disappointment I want to talk about right now, there's more I could talk about, but we'll leave it here for right now, is the Orlando Magic. And I do want to save some of this because I want to make a video comparing how people talk about Franz and Paolo like they used to talk about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I want to make a whole video about that, probably not in the direction you're thinking. But so far this year, Paolo has been really bad shooting the ball, 39% from the field, 18% from 3. He is getting to the line 10 times a game and knocking those down. That's great. But Desmond Bane is shooting 27% from 3. That's not a worrisome thing. We know he's a great shooter, but only taking 5 per game so far. Now, again, only 4 games in. But I thought you brought Desmond Bane in to be that sniper. Now, we know Desmond Bane can do a lot off the dribble as well, but especially next to Paolo and Franz, I thought we'd just see a lot more actions to get him open from 3. And even the threes he is getting, a lot of them he is creating them for himself, which is fine. We know he can do that. I just thought he was coming there to be someone that could relieve the pressure as an off-ball weapon, and it hasn't really been that. And for sure, this is something I have to look at more. But again, I'm going to do a deep dive on the Orlando Magic very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. I just want to give my quick little tidbits, my little disappointments so far this season. And Shaedon Sharpe individually, Brandon Ingram individually, the Hawks, Trae Young individually, but more so the collective unit. And I think Trae Young is running out of time if they don't turn it around. Again, it's so early, but If this is just gonna be a 6, 7, 8 seed Hawks team, I could see them, feeling like, man, we should probably just move on from Trae Young. And then Orlando, this is supposed to be different. You're supposed to bring in this crazy sniper and Desmond Bane. It's supposed to change the way you run your offense, and the offense looks exactly the same. So all that has been a little bit disappointing. Let me know what you've been disappointed by in the comments down below. Please like, comment, subscribe. It will mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.